Hey everybody, Pat here. And if you are scared to be on camera, don't worry, I can absolutely relate to that. But we're going to overcome those fears today, play some games with a good friend of mine, Tristan, who's over at UltraSpeaking. Tristan, you want to say hello to everybody? What's up, man?
Hey everybody, super happy to be here. Excited to jump in, get Pat doing some games,
Oh,
and
man.
yeah, hope this will be very useful.
This is going to be so much fun. I saw Tristan do some workshops in Idaho earlier last year, and the immediate changes some of the participants had in their energy, in their flow, in their comfort levels on camera was just like night and day. So we wanted to bring Tristan on from ultraspeaking.com to come on and play some games with me, and you can also play along as well. And you'll see these things happen in real time. And Tristan's going to teach along the way because Tristan, I don't know about you, but I know a lot of us here who know that we need to get online. We know we need to create content. We're just afraid to get on camera. We're worried about so many different things. Maybe a brief introduction to who you are and how you got into this first before we play some games.
Sure. Yeah, my name is Tristan de Montebello, and I stumbled into this world by accident. I wanted to take on an ultra learning project, and one of my friends suggested I try public speaking, a meta skill. One of those skills where the better you get at that skill, the better everything in your life gets. And it hit home because it was one of those skills where I just felt like I was so under my potential, and it always been frustrating for me. Every instance where I had to speak, I'd leave and think, man, I left so much on the table and I don't know why. I don't know what to do. And I'll make a very long story short, but I ended up joining the World Championships of Public Speaking and became the fastest competitor to make it to the finals of the World Championships through a 30,000 people from 140 countries. And in doing so, I discovered a lot of what it took to accelerate the learning when it comes to speaking. And it's very counterintuitive and also very natural, but it's very different from a lot of the ways speaking has been taught so far. And that's why we created Ultra Speaking, to teach a fast and actually effective way to feel like yourself.
Incredible. I heard the story in full, and it's just like, I mean, you can make a movie out of it for how you got into that and just kind of jumped into it and learned as you went. And I've written about that kind of learning. You've experienced it yourself with public speaking, and now you're pushing the what you've learned forward to all of us, which we're really grateful for. So, where do we begin? We have hundreds of people watching and many, many more who are going to watch this. How do we wrap our head around how to get better and more confident on camera and on stage?
Yeah, wonderful. Well, I brought a few slides. So um,
Let's see.
I think the where it all starts is with this feeling that we all know, whether it's on camera or not. In this case, we're talking about camera. The moment the camera turns on, and I was feeling natural, and suddenly the camera turns on, I turn off. And that feeling of being lost, not knowing what it's like to be a human anymore, not knowing how to move your arms or how to access the content that you had access to, is is frightening and it's frustrating. But there's something underneath here. The very idea that you've been spending your whole life training speaking. We are literally evolved to speak. We all have our 10,000 hours. We should be masters. And in fact, we are masters in many areas of speaking. Why is it that when the camera turns on, we turn off? It's like we were there and now we're here.
Mhm.
What we talk about here, what I love bringing to the table, is this idea of turning on a performance mode that actually shuts everything off. And so we go from being full of ideas, clear, dynamic humans, and suddenly we run out of ideas. We don't know what to talk about. If we do talk, we're rambling and we're turning in circles, and we don't feel human. We feel tight, tense, and as if we were boxed in. So this performative mode ends up being so completely inauthentic. And so I'm curious, I'd love to see in the chat if this is resonating. But the point here is that when you're no longer you and you're trying to be something that you think other people want you to be, you're no longer authentic. You can no longer connect. And it turns out that it's incredibly ineffective.
Mhm.
And the good news is, because we've been training this for so long, we actually have most of the skills, right? You started here, you turn the camera on, and now you're performing here. So how much are we really going to get if we can make this bar move? If I can get 10% better at the skills I already have? That's not the problem. The problem is this giant gap here. It's about accessing the skills that I already have so that I can perform at the level that I know I can perform when I'm feeling incredibly comfortable. How can I feel natural on stage? And it takes a lot of reps. That's really the essence of everything here is you have to train, you have to put in the reps. There's no other way. But what if you could do it in a way that was fun, exciting, and actually effective, that you knew you were doing the right things? So that's what we're going to be doing today. We're going to be working on 3 techniques that are each going to be using a different training method that everyone here will be able to have access to. And we're going to be looking to unlock this writer's block. How can we actually prove to ourselves that we have access to flow and ease, that we can have access to an unlimited amount of ideas? And we want to be able to make those ideas clear and concise so that we can record them without having to do 100 billion jump cuts. And we also want to be human and dynamic and feel like ourselves. Otherwise, when we're monotone, it's boring and people tune out. So that's the plan. What do you think, Pat?
I think it looks good. Can you see the screen when we pop stuff on the screen now?
I cannot, no.
You cannot.
I
Okay,
can see
it's all
it, but
good.
I put YouTube up here so I can see it happening with a lag, but
Got
it's
it.
good enough.
And there's a lot of people commenting on and really resonating with what you're saying there. So I think that we're ready to play some games. I don't even know exactly which games. I've seen some of these in action before, but we're going to be able to play them together, and you can all follow along. I'm going to be the sort of guinea pig here, I guess. So I'm a little nervous, which is like speaking to what you're talking about already, because I feel like I have to perform. Hopefully, after now having done several thousands of podcasts, interviews, and things like that, that I'm hoping I'll do pretty well. But I also know that failing is a part of the learning process, and that's part of the idea here. It's getting those reps in, like you said, and to get those reps in without having to first book your first talk or to even feel like it's so grand of a thing that it just like freaks you out. Playing in a safe space like this is really what it's all about, and that's what I love about this. So, Tristan, thank you for that intro. Where do we go from here?
Let's do it. Yeah, just to bounce off what you're saying, it's like if you were to learn tennis, you have access to practice courts and you can go out and practice with your friends as much as you want before having to go play a game. We don't have that in speaking. That's why UltraSpeaking exists. It's like, wait, why can't we practice this? And I love that you're feeling a little bit nervous. And there's not a trick here for everyone. This is actually what we wanted to show real life of what practice looks like. If you feel nervous, that's good because you're going to feel nervous when it matters. Mm-hmm. So we want to train in an environment where we're feeling that pressure. Can I, when I feel the pressure, relax myself to the point where I get to feel like myself again? That's what we're going to do.
And then is sort of the goal here to practice and maybe even every once in a while feel that you're like in a flow state, when it's kind of like things are just smoking and like you're not even thinking about it. Like that's the ultimate goal here, right? To get to that point.
Yes, 100%. And I think the game that's coming up is going to actually, this is the perfect layup to describe what the first game is, which we're going to be using this first one as a warm up. And the game here, I'm not going to show what it looks like before Pat jumps in because he's already seen a version of this in the podcast episode we recorded. Basically, Pat is going to see a random sentence that's putting 2 words together, like life is like a bicycle because, and he has to read what he sees on screen and just keep speaking and see what his subconscious mind comes up with. Because this is what is so interesting with speaking. What's interesting is that if you're trying to use your conscious mind, it's like you're stuck in first gear because your subconscious mind is orders of magnitude more powerful than your conscious mind. So when you want to perform, our reflex to feel safe is I have to be thinking hard. Mm-hmm. What if it were the exact opposite? What if in order to be brilliant, in order to access your own brilliance, you had to stop thinking and you had to start being in a state of flow? So speaking is much more of a act of channeling your subconscious mind than it is consciously thinking about words coming out of your mouth.
Yeah. Chris here says it's kind of like improv. You kind of shouldn't be thinking too hard about this.
Yeah. I often say that UltraSpeaking is improv without the acting. It's like, can we use a lot of the principles of improv, which are absolutely brilliant, but now you have to be yourself the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
And that gap is what makes this effective everywhere else in your life.
Cool.
So let's jump in. You're going to get 10 in a row, and these are autocompletes. So you're just going to read what you see on screen and keep going.
I'm going
Okay?
to enlarge the screen so I can see it, and I'm going to move myself around so that the audience can sort of play along. So it says autocomplete rapid fire. So we're going to see two things, and I have to make a connection. Is that what's happening here?
Well, this one's a little bit easier. So it's autocomplete. So you're going to see something like life is fantastic because, instead of
Okay.
life is like a bicycle.
Okay.
Just go with that's what I like
I'm
about this.
sorry.
We're
I'm
catching
just
you a little by
delaying.
surprise. Yeah, exactly. Okay.
Okay.
I know everyone in the audience is trepidatious, if that is a word right now, but I can't wait for them to see. Let's just give it a go and let's see. The whole point is we're warming up, so it doesn't matter if you make mistakes. The only thing that matters to me is that you try and stay in a state of flow. Meaning, when you make a mistake, you're going to want to acknowledge it. You're going to want to say it out loud. You're going to want to laugh. You're going to want to show everybody that you noticed you made a mistake. Instead, I want you to stay in it with full conviction and confidence all the way through. And only 3 seconds after you're done, can you break character and we can start debriefing. And there are reasons for that, but for now, I won't get into them. Ready?
Yes.
Let's do it.
Ready, set, go. How it works?
Wait. Oh, no. Did I miss it? Because I can't see what you're seeing. Tell
It
me
went
if it started.
okay, ready, set, go.
Okay, perfect.
A banana is the worst thing because you could slip on it and hurt yourself. A road trip is unpleasant because you have to fill up with gas and stop the amazing things you're seeing on the side of the road. Being born is unfair because you don't have any control on where you're born. A glazed donut is sensational because it satiates the taste buds in your mouth. Rap music is disturbing because everything has to rhyme in order for it to be good. A charger is exciting because they used to live in San Diego, not LA now because football. Meditation is depressing because you can never get into the flow state without thinking about things. Being hungry is crazy because you need food in order to survive. Wine bottles are scary because you can crack them and hit somebody with it. A bodybuilder is my favorite thing because it shows how much more growth there is that's possible.
Woo! Let's go.
That's so much fun, though. Oh my gosh, it was so. That's why, that's where my brain decided to go. You know?
Yes, exactly. That's where my brain decided to go. Why is it so fun? Like, can you describe to those in the audience? Because as they're watching this, they're thinking, I don't know if I could do this. Pat's different than me. What's actually happening?
Huh. Sorry, my heart's beating really fast right now. Why was that fun? It was fun because there was no, like, if I failed, it's okay. Like, I just was kind of going with the flow. It was fun because there was a start and finish time to it, right? And it was fun because I surprised myself every once in a while. I think I could have done better, and I was overthinking some of them, which is why I was late. And then when catching up, I found that those ones that I caught up on actually were kind of more interesting. So, yeah, that's my assessment.
Yeah. Yeah, and I love that because that's what we're seeing is the difference between the thinking brain and the subconscious flow state. It's like when you slow yourself down, you're trying to make it make more sense.
Mm-hmm.
And what happens is you're depriving yourself of your genius, meaning you can say something clever, you can probably get it right. But if you want access to your genius, to something truly insightful that's going to differentiate you from everybody else in the world, then we need to go deeper. And to go deeper, you need to actually get rid of the filters that we have in front of us. And those are the ones where the words just pop out. And afterwards, you think to yourself, whoa, how did I come up with that? And so at a meta level, this is what we're trying to express in speaking. But
Yeah,
I
there were
think you're
some
warmed
things
up.
like
How did it
the
feel?
vase one. It was like, why is the brace scary or whatever? It's like, you
Yeah.
could break it and hit somebody. I was thinking of like shards of glass, which is very literal. But then I got prompted with the bodybuilder one and somehow made a connection to seeing somebody go through a growth phase in their life and, all this other stuff
Yeah.
that could be extrapolated from that. That's beyond just like, oh, a muscle man, right? So that was actually
Yeah,
interesting how I connected it to stuff that I normally talk about, which is growth and entrepreneurship and getting out of your own way and getting inspired, motivation, etc. All in all in a second because I didn't overthink it.
exactly. So what this is showing us is that a lot of speaking, in order to do it right, is actually about trust or
Mm,
faith.
mm,
It's faith in the belief that my being will deliver if I give it a chance. And that's the thing that holds us back when you
yeah.
think
Wow.
about it, right? We walk in. Tell me what's coming up for you.
The trust thing is really important. I used to be very scared of speaking on stage, and I still get scared. I still have those same nerves and kind of want to throw up before I go on stage, whether at an entertainment event like Card Party or on stage at a keynote at a business event. I feel the same before I get on. But my earlier self would see that as I'm going to be bad at this. What are they going to say? Am I going to let people down? Versus now it's this means it's important to me. This means I want to do well. And I just go up on stage and trust myself. And I don't know exactly what I'm going to say or what's going to happen. And especially in more of a improv type setting, like at Card Party, where you don't know what's going to happen, I find that I just have more fun when I let myself go sometimes. And that's kind of what's coming to mind.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. And it's invisible to the outside. And that's why we make the mistake of trying to learn speaking in the wrong way, I think. It's because from the outside, when I saw you speak on stage, you don't look nervous at all. So if I'm just a random person looking at you speaking and I want to be Pat Flynn, I look at you and I think, I have to find a way not to be nervous. But that's not what's happening, right? You're still nervous. You still feel that. You've just shifted your mindset around it and you've learned to perform in that state. And so a lot of what happens in speaking is we try to copy what we see on the outside instead of thinking about the state we were in that gave us access to the outside.
Mhm.
So we're going to see a little bit more of this. Let's keep going with the game so we can
Okay.
see some of this kind of showcase itself. So what we're going to do now is we're going to use the same beginning, meaning we're going to do another rep of autocomplete, like the bodybuilder is my favorite thing. And we're not going to stop there. So you're only going to get one, and we're going to do small speeches. Like we're going to have you create a bunch of YouTube shorts basically. So after you see one come up like this, it's going to pop something into your brain. You're going to say something with very little time. And then you're going to see this slide. And this is, hey, you created something magical. Now take a breath
Okay.
and get into a state. And then you'll have about 30 seconds where you're going to give us basically a YouTube short. Tell us a story, speak for 30 seconds, give us a little speech about whatever came up after you're done with the breath.
Okay. So
Okay?
you'll show a topic. I'll make a connection or an idea. I'll take a breath, and then I'll do a short, kind of 30-second story about it or whatever
Exactly.
comes to mind. Okay.
Exactly. And when you do this, you do it the same way. So when you see like a bodybuilder is astounding because you read it out loud just like we did for the warm up. Okay?
Okay.
You say the same exact thing. Are you
Okay.
ready?
Yep. I'm ready. Here we go.
Okay, here we go.
DeLoreans keep me up at night because it's my dream car,
Yes. Take a breath.
and I really want it. DeLoreans keep me up at night because it's my dream car. In fact, I had a little taste of what it was like to be in a DeLorean at one point. I was able to film a little short film, and it was actually at the Puente Hills Mall, which is where Back to the Future was filmed back in the 80s. And I got to ride in one for about 30 seconds. And being in the car that I've seen on camera so many times, it really helped me realize that one day I will eventually own a DeLorean because I think I deserve it.
Yes. Beautiful.
I don't know. I was like trying to go, okay, what's the big lesson here? And I was just like, I just like DeLoreans. It's from my favorite movie. I just want it. and I tied it into something that did happen in the past where I did get to film a short film and be in a DeLorean for a couple minutes. But that leads me to now, like, okay, well, there's moments in life where sometimes you have this dream and you get it, and then it's not what you expected, right? You meet your hero and they're not exactly who you thought they were going to be, and sometimes that's disappointing. But this was a point where I got in the car and it was actually awesome, and it kind of reaffirmed my love for everything Back to the Future.
Yes, I love it. Let's do one more so we can get a little bit more data, and then let's do a little
Okay.
debrief. Maybe we'll do
DeLorean threw
two
me
more.
off because I was like, okay, you know a lot about me, and you
Mhm.
did your research.
Yes. Okay, you ready for more?
Yes, yes.
Okay, here we go.
Collecting Pokemon cards is terrifying because of not great players in the space. Okay, this is a good one.
Good.
Okay, collecting Pokemon cards are terrifying because we all have different likes and things that we love, and we collect cards that we enjoy. But sometimes it's hard to share that because we might feel embarrassed about what we choose to like and what we choose to collect. But what I found in this space that's really amazing is that it doesn't really matter who or what Pokemon you choose as your favorite or the types of collections that you want to do. We are all on this journey together, and the person across from you might have the card that you need, and you might have the card that they need. And I think that just represents life in such an amazing way beyond Pokemon cards.
Nice.
Boom! Let's go. I felt good about that one.
Yeah.
Okay.
What what made it different?
It's funny because I was going to go. My mind, like the word terrifying and Pokemon kind of go together right now in many cases because there's a lot of not great things
Mhm.
happening, robberies and things like that happening at different stores. And that's where my head wanted to go. But then I went to more just how can I turn this into a lesson that could be maybe inspiring for people? I mean, there are stories of stores that have been robbed and then the communities have come together to help them. But I wanted to go more into what it was like. Like my head went into what it was like to get into this space. I'm fairly new into the space, 5 years into the Pokemon community, and I was a newbie when a lot of people have been here for a very long time. So I was scared. I was worried about how people would perceive me in this space now coming in, especially as a creator. But I found the community to be so welcoming that it didn't really matter that I like a Pokemon that has udders. Like a Miltank, the Pokemon that nobody would really care about. I enjoy, and people have
And
kind of
so
now associated that with me in a positive way. Whereas initially I could have been made fun of for that. So that's kind of where my head was at.
did because when you saw Pokemons Are Terrifying, it kind of caught you by surprise again, and you I saw you trying to think, and I'm curious if you immediately had the idea of there's some bad actors or some people are,
Yeah.
and you kind of thought, wait, do I really want to say that? Did you try to censor yourself and then said, no, I'm going to bring it back? What actually happened in that moment?
Yeah. If I could analyze my thought process there really quick, I was not necessarily trying to censor myself because I didn't want people to know that those things happened or because I didn't want to amplify those things that happened that have already been in the news and stuff. But rather, I thought there was a more relatable way. Not that that stuff that's bad that's happening is not relatable, but something more internal as a fear that more people would have just as a brand new collector versus something terrifying. And there's already not great things in the news. I always, as a person, just try to connect with people more on an individual level rather than take news that's out there and kind of blast it.
Yeah.
At least that's just my
And I think
style.
yeah, I like that. And I think what's beautiful with this game, what it showcases is it doesn't matter where you start.
Hmm.
Oftentimes people are very stressed about being asked a question or being caught saying something they don't even agree with, right? And if I say something that sounds stupid, if I say something that I'm not sure I agree with, it can be very destabilizing.
Sure.
But what we're discovering, what we're seeing here is with a breath, and we exaggerate the space of the breath in this game, but with just a moment, we can collect our thoughts. Again, your subconscious mind, I see it as having a butler that's always there with my best idea, exactly what I need. I just need to get into the right state. One breath, just pay attention, slow down, listen, and the butler's there with my next idea. And it will always give you something. And for you, you had that instinct, that intuition of I don't want to take it in this direction. And the butler was right there for you. And so you were able
Mm-hmm.
to take it in a direction that was inspiring. And I think it's very
That's cool.
liberating. Again, trust and faith. My butler will always be there for me. So when I know that, I can query it by taking a breath or changing my energy state, which we're going to see next. Um, And from that place, I'll always have access to something that feels aligned with myself.
Love it. Love it. The audience is really resonating with this as well. So
Oh, beautiful.
um, it sounds like you're queuing up the next game.
I am queuing up the next game. Uh, what I want us to do next, but actually, by the way, I have this quick slide here. For those who are resonating with this and want to go deeper into the actual practice of ultra speaking for themselves, we put together a playbook, and you can have, through the playbook, you'll get access to a lot of the lessons that I'm teaching here and more. And you will also have access to the games and the ability to practice them. So if you wanted to take a look, just take a screenshot of this or take a picture with your phone. And
And
I'll
that's
show it again later.
ultraspeaking.com/SPI. I think we'll take you there as well. I'll put that in
Yes, thank
the
you.
chat. All right. Getting
So
clarity.
let's talk about clarity, because I think, well, tell me about yourself. Like, what is your relationship with clarity in terms of producing content that really gets to the essence of what it is you want to share?
Yeah, I mean, I've always had for the longest time, a struggle with that, to find the exact words I would need to say to make an idea clear enough to somebody on the other end. As a content creator, this is what we often struggle with. And if you're in the short form challenge, it's your hook. How do you get so clear that a person can stop scrolling or stop, finding their way through just, their doom scrolling and stop on you? Um, this is, the more clear you are, there's sort of I call it the three C's of becoming, an authority online. You need confidence in what you're saying. If you're not confident, then how can a person trust you? You need consistency, which is important. You need to continually show up. You can't build a relationship with somebody if you just are always flaking or not, showing up on time, etc. But you need to be clear. What it is you're saying isn't sending mixed messages. You are steadfast. You plant your flag in the ground, and you're not confusing people. And especially today, with so much information, so much out there, the clarity helps save people time, and people are very, very aware of where their time is spent or how much time they're spending on something. The more clear something is, the faster they can get to the result ultimately. So in the beginning, I've
Yeah.
always had a struggle with that, because I always used to, and my videographer knows this, I would just talk too much. I would over explain. And I
Mm.
heard a question once from a guy, Tim Ferriss, who we all know, who said, if this were easy, what would it look like? And I've always applied that in my life with the things that I'm doing and the projects that I'm working on. But even in the way that you could say things, if it were easy to share this idea, what would that look like? And sometimes I found that it's not even what you say, it's what you show. So that question can guide you in how you present an idea to somebody else. And in this case, of course, what you say or how you say it with your words.
Cool. I love that. I love how you're applying it that everywhere and to speaking and producing. That's really cool. I'm taking that. Thank you, Pat. Thank you,
Yeah.
Tim Ferriss. So here's the trap. So what I love talking about in these scenarios, we talked about it a little bit in the beginning. The trap of watching Pat on stage and thinking, "Wow, he looks so confident. I also need to I need to feel confident myself. He
Mm.
doesn't feel stressed." So I try to copy the outside. In speaking, you see the perfect short and you try to copy the outside. You try to analyze exactly what the person said word by word and what's the exact structure. And there is some value to that. But oftentimes it sends you down the wrong road, because what actually happened for that person to produce that piece of content might not be what you think it is. And it's oftentimes them accessing something within themselves and preparing in a way that allows them in the moment to use exactly the right words.
Mm-hmm.
So it's often a trap to focus on the words themselves. And the way we're gonna play around with this is with a game called, this is a training tool called the accordion method. And so the typical preparation process is that for people who want to prepare anything where they're going to be speaking, you start by writing, you edit like crazy, then you memorize it. That means you have to freeze it a while back. Then you
Yep.
spend days memorizing before, and then you recite it. And reciting is extremely difficult. That's why we pay actors millions of dollars to act in a way that doesn't look acted. You
Mm-hmm.
are not paid millions of dollars. We're not paid millions of dollars for this. because we're not actors. So if we're going to memorize something, it'll be very, very difficult to deliver it in a way that actually is going to look natural, where you're going to be able to connect. But if you take the opposite and you don't prepare at all and you wing it, then you end up rambly and unprepared, and people skip your short or your
Right.
video or your webinar. So what we want to do is we want that perfect Venn diagram overlap. How do I have the feeling of being prepared while also having that sense of natural delivery that I can get when I'm winging it, when I'm in the moment? And so the way we do this is we practice with time constraints. So the way most people will prepare once they have the writing in is they'll say, I have 5 minutes or 1 minute or X amount of minutes to produce my content. And so they're going to do round after round at that exact time frame. And when you do that, your brain wants safety and your brain wants efficiency.
Mm-hmm.
So anytime you say something good, it's going to fall into the same trap. It's going to say, oh, that was really good. I don't know if I can do better in the moment. So you're going to want to learn it by heart. And then by the time you're at round 4, you know every line by heart. And now you're reciting again. So instead, what we want to do is we want to play with time constraints. We want to compress time in a way that is going to prevent your brain from memorizing and is going to naturally get rid of all of the noise and leave you only with the essence of what it is you want to share. And as you know, what you were sharing when the difficulty of being rambly is really just comes down to what is the essence of what I want to share. And once I know that really, really well, it's much easier to be clear in my speaking. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a short kind of preview round of the accordion method with you. Again, you have no way to prepare for this. Actually, what I want to see is I would love for us to pick a speech title from the audience.
Ooh.
So in the audience, if you could suggest a speech title, imagine that Pat's recording his next YouTube short. Just choose a title that you think would be interesting or a concept that would be interesting. And Pat, I want you to look through the comments and choose one that genuinely speaks to you. So it can't be one that you've already truly digested, written about, or did a ton of videos, because otherwise it's already distilled. It's something where you think, ooh, I would love a little more clarity on this one. Tell me when you find something.
Yeah, we'll wait for these to come in. But I remember running this exercise. This was the one where we partnered up with people, right, at Craft and Commerce. And I was speaking to somebody. We were doing the accordion method, and it was just like incredible where we ended up. And it wasn't where we thought we were going to end up. That's the kind of cool thing about this. Let's see. Mr. Mutastic says FIFA World Cup. The kindest thing somebody did for you, what wisdom means to me. My next area of growth is what I wish I knew about starting a YouTube channel. Spoken about that a lot. What raising kids has to do with running a business. Ooh, good topics. There's one that I know for sure I've never spoken about, and that's the World Cup and FIFA, which could be interesting. I used to play soccer, so there's a connection there. But I also love the sort of, the connection between kids and running a business. That, those are two important things to me. So of those two, Tristan, is there one that you would love to see?
I think I like kids in business because it can speak to anybody.
Yeah.
And there's some emotion that's going to be in that, which I always appreciate. So let's take a moment to appreciate that Pat's on the spot here, and he's doing this in front of hundreds and potentially thousands of people who will be watching all of this. It takes a lot of courage and a lot of boldness, and everything Pat would do for you all. So what we're going to do here is we're going to have 1 minute where you can consider that just as your first draft. The goal is not to edit yourself. The goal is just to barf out all your ideas, just everything. Just let it come all out. And then we're going to divide the time by 2, and then we're going to divide the time by 2 again. Okay, and in between each, we're going to ask ourselves, oh, what did I like in the previous one that I want to keep?
Okay. Is there like a prompt related to that, or is it just wherever my head wants to go?
No prompt. Just why don't you share, what was the speech? Can you turn it into like a speech title?
Let's see. What raising kids has to do with running a business? Perhaps what are the lessons learned as a business owner that can help you become a better parent, or vice versa, right? How parenting and business.
Let's not go that far, because now you're already looking for the essence of it.
Yeah, I'm
Let's find
structuring
the
it
essence
already.
through, yeah, exactly. Let's find it through the accordion method.
Okay.
Because when you get to 15 seconds, you have no time for any listicles. So right now we
Yep.
just have to, this is the part where you would be writing and editing, but now we're doing it through speaking.
Okay.
And that's what's
Okay.
kind of
I'll let it flow.
interesting.
I'll let it go.
Okay.
I'm not going to edit.
Yeah, let it flow. Here we go. Okay, first one, you get a minute. First draft.
Okay, there's a lot of similarities between being a business owner and a parent, right? It's a something that is born, and it's exciting, but at the same time nerve wracking, and you're not necessarily know who this person is going to become, but you do your best to kind of shape it in the way that you'd like, with the wisdom and the things that you've learned, and you kind of put it into this. And there are sleepless nights. There are moments that just make you want to cry. But then there's also moments where, even small ones, sometimes, like in the business sense, maybe just somebody says a comment and says, "Hey, that really was helpful," and that's amazing. Or the time that when you're with your kid and your kid says, "I love you, Daddy," and it's just like those little moments add up to so much bigger reasons to keep going. And because eventually one day your kids are going to grow up. I have a 16-year-old and a 13-year-old, just like businesses grow up. And people change, businesses change, but hopefully by the end you realize that you did the right things, you put your best into it, and then you kind of have to let them go. Cool.
Nice.
Okay.
Beautiful.
Okay.
Okay, so easier than you might have anticipated.
Yes. Yes. And I didn't know where I was going to go, but it kind of went 0 to 18 years, or
Yeah.
the life cycle of a business. It kind of those two parallels
Yeah.
were playing with
So
each
there's a
other.
there's a meta level insight for speaking here, that it is almost always much scarier to think about than it is to actually do.
Hmm.
And if we can truly internalize that it's going to be so much easier once I start speaking, we should be eager to get to the point where we can start the speaking. It ends up reducing the anxiety, and it will allow you to say yes to many, many more opportunities. So for this, I want you to think about, right now, as we go down the accordion, we're just chasing the essence. So in everything you shared, what is the goal for you? Like, do you already have a sense of the North Star? Like, what's the insight
I
that
do.
would, okay, beautiful. Then
I
I
do.
don't even want us to go further. I want to see it in action.
Okay.
We're going to divide the time by 2. So now you have to think about it, that you can compress the parts that
Hmm.
you know already are good. Like, I know this part, I kind of got it. Compress that to the minimum, so you have a little bit of space to explore whatever the goal is that you're thinking about. Okay?
Okay.
Okay, here we go.
The best things in life are the things that drive you crazy. And there's two things in my life that have driven me crazy, but I'm so grateful for all of it. One, being a business owner. There are days where I just want to give up. There are trolls and haters and reasons for me to believe I shouldn't be doing this, yet I keep going. And at the same time, being a parent is very hard and difficult. And there are days where you just feel like you're doing it all wrong. But in the end, you see this person come up to you and say that they love you. It all means everything. And like a commenter who says they enjoyed your work. Okay, that helps a
Yes.
lot. It's not there,
Ooh,
but hopefully you can
yeah.
see where I'm trying to wrap this into like a 10-second, like hard hitting thing.
Yes, exactly. And let's keep it going. Now you're getting closer, you can feel. And what's interesting is, if I had given you the same amount of time, in some sense you would have rambled on. You would have,
Yeah.
or more. Like, when we practice, we don't give ourselves boundaries. We usually will go on. So you're going to speak for 10 minutes to yourself, or write it. Here, the forcing function that is time is preventing your brain from doing anything other than looking for the essence, than chasing the essence. So now you're going to have 15 seconds. That is a quarter of what you had on that first rep, and half of what you had here, where you barely had time to finish.
Yeah.
So really think about honing in on, like, the true essence of what it is you want to leave your audience with. Like, if they could only leave with a sentence, what would that sentence be? That's what you're looking for. Okay. 3,
Oh God.
2, one, go.
The best things in life are the things that are hard, that are difficult, but eventually the things that you can let go and realize that you've put all of yourself into it, and then like a bird leaving its nest, it can go on its own and start its own family or help other people in its own way.
Yes.
The
Perfect.
bird analogy, where did that come
So,
from? That like came out of nowhere, but I really
isn't,
love that sort
isn't
of
that
leaving
interesting?
the
Yeah. So
nest
go,
kind of
so
thing.
go get it. I'm going to give you 15 seconds again right away. 15 seconds is dramatically difficult, but we're going to go right away. 15 seconds and just make that neat as best you can. Okay. So a way to do this that I recommend is you hold your one thing. Like, what's that one thing? What's that one sentence? And then just think about the beats. Like, what do I want to hit? One, two, three. Just think about it as one word. I like to think if I walk up on a stage, I want everything I'm ever going to say to be able to hold in the palm of my hands. My one
Mhm.
thing, and then three trigger words that I know will send me to the right place. So just hold that. Keep it very, very simple. After this, we're going to open up the accordion once more to give you more spaciousness. So right now, we're still just looking for that essence. Okay?
Okay, got it.
Here we go.
The things that drive you the most crazy, the things that keep you up at night, the things that absolutely wreck you are, in many cases, the things that you enjoy in life the most, like a business or even your kids.
Beautiful. Yes, I love it. Wow. So like look at how you got down to the essence. So
That's
what I
crazy.
want to do, that's crazy, right? Let's we're gonna debrief after this next rep. I want you to go now. I'm gonna open the accordion. We won't go back to a whole minute, but I want to give you 30 seconds. So I want to double the time now. So you can kind of relax into what you have just landed on.
Okay.
Okay? Here we go.
Sometimes the harder the challenge, the more rewarding the other side of the challenge is. And this relates to you if you are a parent and how challenging that is when you see your kids grow up and become who they are meant to be. It is so rewarding, but it wouldn't be as rewarding if it didn't come with its struggles. And just like a business, having the days where you feel like it's all for nothing, but then realize that you did something special, you helped a lot of people, it really makes it all worth it in the end. It's the struggle that makes it satisfying.
Good.
Whoa, that's
Tell me
crazy.
about the whoa. Yeah,
It's
tell me
like
about that.
there's almost an alliteration there. The struggle equals satisfaction. If it weren't a struggle, it wouldn't be as joyful. It wouldn't be as rewarding. It makes me think of things that I try to make easy when maybe they always shouldn't be easy, which is interesting because
Mm,
that goes to the opposite of what I said earlier about if this were easy, what would it look like? Sure, that's a strategy, but it doesn't mean if it's hard, it's not something you should do. That's kind of where my head is at.
mm. And think about how different it is from where you started like literally 7 minutes ago.
Yeah.
The amount
Wow.
of the amount of clarity you have and the amount of insight you extracted that was right there for the taking the whole time.
Hmm. A lot of comments in the chat. I think a lot of the comments in the chat are coming from just like, wow, I couldn't do that. But the truth is you could. You just have to put yourself in
Yes.
this situation and see what happens, right? We're already imagining the worst of it when I just told you sometimes the tough things are the things that get you to where you want to go and bring the most joy in life. Um, so it's a little
That's
meta here as we're
probably yeah, yeah, 100%. And it's probably the most common thing we see with our students in our training is people see somebody do a rep of anything and they think I couldn't do that. There's a subset of people who think I can do that and like please get me on the stage.
sure,
But it's
yeah, right.
interesting the belief system we have, it's just a mirror. Everything's a mirror for our life. And if you think about it, if you're thinking I could never do that, where else are you thinking that in your life?
Mm.
That is a belief that you're holding as true that you can get rid of. You can take that belief, take it out of your software and replace it with I could be good at anything. It's just a tool. A belief is just a system, a tool that allows you to take action on something. So I love what's happening here because there's a meta level to this, but in speaking, it's so true. it's so much scarier than it looks. The moment you do it, on the other side, you think, my goodness, not only was this effective, but this is super fun. Speaking is fun. We're evolved for it.
And I might be in a position of a little bit more anxiety because we're streaming this live and it's, anything could happen kind of thing, and people are going to watch this later. So hopefully by me stepping into this stage here, this virtual stage, makes it even easier for you when you get to do this in private with yourself or with a smaller group of people that you trust, not like the internet. Although, that being said, I have noticed that there have been a lot of great short form video frameworks of people doing a challenge, actually being vulnerable and showing themselves failing in the beginning, but then creating a video the next day, day 2 of trying to do this, day 3 of trying to do this, whether it's learn to dance or learning how to speak or whatever it might be, by actually showing up and creating consistency in those reps. Like, you can literally see the improvement, but you don't have to share it. But I'm grateful to do that and comfortable enough to feel the pressure live here with you. So
Nice. I love it. So I have one more game for you. One more training tool that is one of my favorites.
okay,
It's called the conductor. And what we're doing with the conductor is we're looking for the right balance point in terms of our energy and our state. What we're looking for is the opposite of tense. Like, the feeling if you turn the camera on or you're on a stage and you're not used to it, it's like you're in a box and you can feel the sides of the box around you. And you don't even know how to move your hands. You don't know how to move your body. You don't even know how to vary your voice. And the mistake people make, again, is they'll look at how somebody moves their hands. They'll watch you on stage and they'll look at how much you move your hands, and they'll go home and they'll practice moving their hands. But you don't move your hand. You're not thinking even 1 second about moving your hands on a stage. You are tapping into a state of energy where you're like super excited in the moment. And when you're excited, your hands pop out and they move naturally. Everything about what we do is, can we find out what the root is, the state we are in? And from that, almost everything takes care of itself. So with conductor, we're looking for calibration. We're looking to find this nice balance point where I can push everything out of the way, these boundaries around me, so that I have more space. So I'm exploring all of the range so that I get to find where my balance point is, where I'm natural. And to do so, we have to be a little bit extreme. And by extreme, I mean we're going to go far out in the ranges, whether it's high or low. And
okay,
high can mean volume, can mean energy, can mean intensity, can mean, to me, it's just like take the knob of whatever you're feeling in that moment and put it to the max. If I hit a 10 or a 9, or we're going to see numbers like this that Pat has to match. 5 is the way you speak naturally. And then
okay,
if I see a 6, I need to see a little bit of a difference between a 5. I need to sense your energy or sense your emotion, sense something coming up. And if we're going down, it's not just volume. And notice that I paused a little bit. I kind of waited for my state to, and the lower we go, maybe the more real I become, the more introspective I become. And if I see a slide that says breathe, I complete the sentence I'm in and I stop speaking.
yeah,
And this is really letting the snow globe just come all the way down so I can access the essence of myself. I can be in a state of contemplation. It doesn't take a long time. In practice, we might do it a little bit longer. In the moment and actually speaking, sometimes this breath can be imperceptible to your audience. Sometimes it is perceptible and it's a gift for them as well. And when you see wrap up, that's, hey, you have 5 seconds, find a way to close it. So we need another speech title. For this one, I'd love to see from the audience things Pat could talk about. So even a question for Pat, something that you're interested in having Pat explore, a story, something he experienced, something that was awesome, exciting, terrifying. And Pat, see if you can grab any title that feels right. It doesn't have to be perfect. We're not going to go to the essence of this one. It's more of a demonstration of what exploring range looks like, and how much value there is there in being on a stage or in front of a camera, finding my natural self.
Okay, we'll wait for some of the suggestions to come in. First kiss. Oh my gosh. What was the most terrifying thing that happened to you? How do you keep your origin story fresh? First time, logistics of the first card party. um, balancing traditional life work with content life, the start of your Deep Pocket Monster channel. Um, maybe that one. Just I know there's a lot of fans of Deep
Cool.
Pocket Monster in here as well, so we can talk about
Let's do it.
the start of Deep Pocket Monster, and that is, if you don't know, my
Okay.
Pokemon YouTube channel. That has now grown to over 2 million subscribers, but of course it started
That's
with just an
crazy.
idea.
Yeah. So to make this effective, hone in on the um, most precise moment you can. So rather than like walking us through the first 6 months, talk about the day you turned on the camera and recorded the first video, something like that. Like the more close to a
Hmm.
moment you get, the easier it'll be, and the more we're going to see the demonstration be effective. Number one. And number two, you're going to have a story in mind. You're going to have your storyline. You're going to know where you want to go very quickly. Abandon that. Surrender your energy to the conductor. Meaning, maybe you're in a moment where you want to be calm and introspective, and suddenly you see a 9, and you're like, that doesn't match what I wanted to say. I want you to let go of what you wanted to say, boost your energy up to a 9, and see what your butler has for you at the 9.
Okay.
Okay?
All right. We'll
Here we
let it
go.
happen. Whatever happens, happens.
The start of your Deep Pocket Monster journey. Here we go.
All right. So I'm seeing a 5. So just start normal.
Yeah, this is your normal way of speaking. This is
Okay.
baseline.
So many people might not know this, but my kids got me into Pokemon because whatever the kids are into, I want to get into. Before Pokemon, it was Fortnite. And Fortnite was pretty
Yes.
insane because we'd go on these battles together and it was so much fun with the kids. And I had to learn how to play Fortnite so I could keep up with them and stuff, which was even more insane after I hired somebody to teach me how to play. And it was just a 15-year-old kid that I paid $50 an hour to teach me. And I learned, and I was able to keep up. And then came Pokemon. And I wanted to learn how to do Pokemon. So I found all the Pokemon YouTubers like Leonhard and Real Breaking Nate. I mean, we all know these names. And I started watching them. And I was like, I love these communities. So how can I get involved? I became a moderator for a channel called PokeRev. And PokeRev was one of the biggest channels. And I became a moderator, a part of this community. And it was so much fun. And that's when I realized I could provide some value to this space. I knew YouTube, and I said, you know what? I'm going to start my own channel with my kids. It'll be something for us to bond over, and we'll see what happens. And lo and behold, now 5 years later, it's become a channel that has taken over the world, and I'm going to continue to do my best to serve the audience that so much welcomed me in when I got involved.
Bravo.
Whoa. That's cool.
That was so cool. Yeah, that was really cool. Tell us a little bit about. I'll tell you a little bit about what I saw, and I want to hear your inner experience, because one thing that's very surprising for people who start to try and get better at speaking is you discover very quickly that what you feel on the inside is not visible to the outside. Your experience is actually dramatically different from that of your audience. But
Hmm.
when we're speaking, we feel transparent. It's like everybody can see what I'm feeling. So if you like blast up to a 10, you might think, I'm looking crazy. People think I'm crazy. My experience of you was, if you were on a stage, or even if you were telling me the story, we were hanging out and you're telling me the story with even this much energy, it would just look like you're animated. I would just be so into it. And when you went down
Really?
to the 1, I was drawn in. It was magical. So what was your experience?
Yeah, I mean, like, you're right. Like the 10s where I was starting to yell a little bit, like, do feel like they're over exaggerated. But you're saying, and it sounds like the audience is just like, oh, you're just excited about this part, right? Um, so it was interesting because the numbers forced me to go into different places that I wasn't going, and a couple times it just aligned perfectly. Like when I was talking about becoming a moderator, and then all of a sudden, that's when I realized I could provide value to this space too. And I felt like that one was perfect for that moment to really set home like, wow, I'm now not just a part of this community, but I want to give back to it. And if I just had spoken that, it wouldn't have hit as hard. right? Hitting hard
Mm.
doesn't mean loud and, exaggerated. Hitting hard might mean slowing down and pausing. And that's pretty cool. And that's something I learned when I was training to be a public speaker way back in the day on stages. It was just like you can have so much of an impact by sometimes saying nothing because everything kind of relates to each other. But if you're just monotone the whole time, then nothing can be more exciting or more dramatic or more sad or more happy. Everything just is. So I think the lesson here is not randomize numbers in your speech. Rather, you have a whole range that you could work with that you haven't even explored yet. And this was a great reminder for me, especially with the 30-day video challenge, especially as I create more YouTube videos, voicing on the podcast, all those things, especially for podcasts. Those the increases in energy are really, really important for just helping people know emotionally how you feel in that moment versus
And that's
the opposite is just reading a script, right?
Yeah, and that's the key word, the emotion. And I think like this is something a lot of people might take for granted is that what something you did incredibly well is you related all of the energy levels to emotion. So the way we describe it is
Mm,
energy leads, emotions follow, words fill in the blank. The mistake people make is either they focus only on words, or if they do bring energy, it's going to be mechanical. I will raise my volume and now I'm speaking louder and now I'm not speaking louder. But there's no variance in like my state. What do I actually feel like? What you did
mhm.
brilliantly and what you described here is when you went to the one, it's not like you just changed the volume, is you started thinking different thoughts. Your
Yeah.
butler was offering you something different and you allowed yourself to feel the emotional relation of that. So in the moment, you allowed yourself to be present and to feel. And as a result, we get to feel. So
Mm,
we feel with you because the audience is empathetic. So you started feeling, I started feeling, and whoa, that's quite a moment.
yeah.
And so this is what this tool is training us to do. We're putting in reps where we are breaking the mold that we've put ourselves in over the years from a safety perspective. And we're relearning how to be, but now with the spotlight. Everybody does this naturally when they're with their best friend, when they're, walking in the woods, or when you feel incredibly comfortable, you do this, but you don't realize it. But the
Mm,
moment I turn the spotlight on, everybody stops. And so
yeah.
we have to relearn under pressure.
So good, Tristan. This has been super helpful in a way, almost therapeutic, not just for me, but for people watching. And I think this is just a great reminder to explore the range that you have available to you. It's always there. And hopefully this unlocks it for you. And speaking of unlock, ultraspeaking.com/SPI is where you want to go to get some of these games that you can play on your own. You want to share that one more time before we wrap up here?
Yeah, I don't know if you can see the QR code slide. But yeah,
Yep.
go to ultraspeaking.com/SPI. We run a bunch of courses. So where you can actually start with a group of people in a safe space in small groups and go through a month or 5 weeks where you actually do this practice multiple times a week with other people. And the what you can get on the other side is remarkable because our skill level is already very high on average, because we've been speaking all our lives, it's a lot of unblocking. So the
Mhm.
difference between before and after can be truly mind-blowing. And then if you go to the playbook, you'll have access to a bunch of free content as well.
Well, thank you
Thanks,
so
Matt.
much.
This was awesome, and I really appreciate you just being in the arena. And
Yeah.
you always do that for your audience, and it's remarkable, and everybody gets so much from it. It's very
Thank you.
inspiring.
Thank you. I try to lead by example when I can. A lot of you are in the middle of your short form challenge right now, and just want to drop a little plug for one of our programs. We have a community here where we run groups of people, cohorts through our different programs, everything from affiliate marketing, email, and in this case, the short form stuff. We actually have a course for short form video. I know a lot of you are in that challenge. You could finish that off, and we want to take you to that next level and start exploring Facebook and TikTok and many other places as well, how to read those analytics, how to actually take that following that you're building and turn that into fans and potentially customers down the road should you have a business on top of that. But short form formula is the place to go for that. And as Tristan mentioned from UltraSpeaking, go to ultraspeaking.com/SPI to get those games. And make sure you thank Tristan on the way out, because this was absolutely incredible. And I'm just very grateful that I was able to provide a good example for people. You know, it wasn't perfect, and I was definitely nervous, but I think by letting go and trying and getting those reps in, you can definitely get better. So yeah, thank you, Tristan. This was amazing.
Thank you, Pat. Appreciate you always. This was a blast for me as well.
For sure. Take
And
care,
thanks,
everybody.
everyone.
Thank you
Thanks
so
for the
much.
suggestion.
And visit Short Form Formula on your way out. Peace, everybody. Thank you.